Hey guys, my name is Bando, this is Brexit Bando, and hopefully you can hear me a bit better today. Maybe I haven't screwed up the audio levels. It's a little difficult when you're deaf in one ear and then you're sick and it causes swelling in the other ear, to make sure you get things right. So, I wanted to talk about this video, which a lot of people have seen, a lot of people have talked about, and there's been a bit of furore about this video. This is JH Miniatures, not to be confused with JH Miniatures again. There's a lot of people who use the name JH Miniatures. So JH Miniatures here on YouTube has released this video where he's reviewed the painting tutorial by the Feral Painter. The Feral Painter has done a video painting an Iron Warrior. Now, JH Miniatures has gone over and created this video where he's very critical of the tutorial by the Feral Painter. And there's a slight problem with this video. In this video, he's quite negative, he's quite aggressive, he's very critical of the different decisions, such as how he paints the hazard stripes, the weathering, how the video is done. And a lot of the comments, including my own, like I made a comment here, you know, and that was before I'd finished watching it. People saying, I think I'd rather watch the Feral Painter than this toxic nonsense. My guy, what's bothering you? If you can't say what the difference is between an oil wash and agro, he goes on about all the different paint techniques he uses. Go and show this video to your mum and ask her if she's proud of you with what you're doing with your life. Dude, what's your problem? Now, a lot of the comments here are actually, you know, they're all supporting the Feral Painter. Which is good, you know, the community's, you know, here standing up for someone who is being relatively unfairly attacked. And you know, I'm here, you know, saying I wouldn't be calling flack on other people's paint jobs with you when, you know, after he posted his own models, because he did post his own models, and frankly, they're not as well painted as this model is here. There's only one slight problem, and most of us missed it. In fact, I would say all of us missed it. If you expand the description, you can see here, this is satire. JH Miniatures is taking the piss with this review, and we all missed it. We've all jumped in, baited as we were, to act this way on purpose. Very well played. And he's got, you know, 2,000 views out of it and 72 comments, which is very impressive. Hate watching is still supporting what you've done. Now, the very concept of reviewing someone's paint jobs, you know, reviewing someone's tutorials is perfectly valid and actually quite an interesting idea as a concept, and you don't see many people doing it. Now, I will admit 100% JH Miniatures has done a fantastic job of creating of this, you know, this satire, this parody, creating rage bait, because by God, I hate this person. Like, I watched this video and his entire personality is awful. Now, if he's actually like this in real life and he's done this on purpose and he's just saying it's satire, you know, to cover his back for copyright, then, oh man, seriously, go and seek therapy. Because he's insufferable. But we got baited. We got baited hard. He is a master baiter. Definitely. On the flip side, the Feral Painter is definitely worth a follow. These videos, the talent that's shown here is phenomenal. And I would definitely recommend coming over here and checking out these videos. I intend to spend most of this evening watching these, and really, these are very good. Now, there is a part of this video that I want to defend, or not to defend, but to actually legitimately criticise. In this video, the feral painter goes through and does certain things in a certain way. For example, he thins down his contrast paints and then does several coats of them, which JH Miniatures is like, why bother? Just use one thick coat of the contrast paint. That's its whole idea. And I have to say that, I know this is parody, but I have to comment on that. You have to learn to use the tools how you find them comfortably. I don't like painting with paints in a certain way. Sometimes I don't thin my paints down. Shock horror. I actually enjoy the way they work as a thick paint. And certain times I need them to act that way because I need coverage for a very small area, like the backs of power armor. I want that coat really thick. I don't need it to be saving detail a lot of the time. The white dot in a light, needs to be really strong, and I can't have it running everywhere. Metallics, sometimes I need to be thick because I need to make sure they're covering properly, especially if it's like chipping. Chipping, for example, I don't want it to be opaque in any way, or translucent in any way, sorry. I need it to be 100% opaque. I need to just make sure that when I put a brown chip in, it doesn't show the layer underneath, because the colour I'm supposed to be showing a layer of paint underneath that, so I need to make sure it stays thick. I don't like using Null Oil. I prefer using Agrax Earthshade, but sometimes I need to mix in some black. Sometimes I prefer to glaze with black rather than using a wash, even though I'm using it as a wash. There's a big difference in the way they behave to me and my workflows. Now, I'm on the spectrum. I'm risen with the tism. So things don't work for me the way they work for other people. ABC is good for you. Well, I'm BCA sometimes, That's how it works for my brain. So what I'm saying here is there is no correct and incorrect way to use a tool. There is only the way it works for you. Now, there are more effective ways of using them in general, but that may not be the technique you're using, it may not be the outcome you're after, and it may not be what you're comfortable with. For example, when I paint by hand, I paint very thin. Like, I paint almost to glaze level, and it's why it used to take me an awful long time to get models done. We are talking 4 times thinner than I should be using the paint for what I'm doing, because that's what I'm doing. I wanted to build up paint at like really thin layers. Now that I have an airbrush, this has gone out the window because I can do what I wanted to do in a fifth of the time. 2 or 3 blasts with the airbrush and I get what I need. And then I can go back with my colours and I can glaze back how I want to. But for a different person, you can see it when you watch some of the old Duncan Rhodes painting videos. He's like, oh, don't forget to thin down your paint, and all he does is, you can see him very delicately just touch the brush to some water and then touch it down to some paper and then mix it with the paint. I'm like, well, what thinning have you done there? You haven't. So it is down to you. You have to use the tools how you feel comfortable with them. If you want to paint your metallics by using rattling grime and then silver over the top, that is down to you. If you want to shade with Agrax Earthshade, you do you. If you wanted to use a contrast paint like Skeleton Horde, and you want to thin it down, you do you. Like for me, there is another paint I absolutely adore, which is a contrast paint of Doomfire Magenta. Now, Doomfire Magenta is one of those contrast paints that is turned up to 11. It is very strong. This is pickled beetroot in a can, basically. But I thin it down. I mix it with a lot of medium, and I thin it down, and I actually mix it with regular paint sometimes. I mix it with flesh tones. You may have seen... let me just go and find a picture quickly. Right, there we go. You may have seen this model before. This is Doomfire Magenta. And what I've done here is I've mixed Doomfire Magenta with a flesh tone, and I have very carefully layered it back up to the flesh tone, with several glazes in between, over and over and over again, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, to keep the transition and to keep the tone. This is a model I'm very proud of for what I've done with it. Now, I could have just sprayed this skin colour, slopped on the Doomfire Magenta as it was, and then just left it as it is. You know, maybe dry brushed on some skin tone here and there, and that was it. But instead what I've done is, you know, I've gone back thin and I've mixed it, and I've used the paints wrong, because you're not supposed to mix contrast paint with regular paint. They're different formulas. They don't work well together. But this is what I did instead. And I'm very happy with it. So yeah. End of the day, you need to learn how to use a paint how you want to. For example, you could paint Iron Warriors silver and then give them a blue glaze over the top to really kind of lock in that bluey metallic look. Now, 99% of Iron Warrior players are going to be like, no, they need to be brown and gritty and dirty and all chipped up and dark and Null Oil and Agrax Earthshade and all this, because they're supposed to be, you know, siege warfare, and they're all dirty and forgotten. You go, no, they're iron, they're metal. I want them silver, I want them nice and bright. And I want that to contrast heavily with the dirt and the weathering. That's perfectly valid. That's down to you. And it's down to you to practice and to learn and to watch these tutorials. Again, I cannot stress enough. Go and watch tutorials about painting from other people. Now, this video, again, was a parody. Well, that's what he said, at least. I hope. I really do hope we've been bamboozled, flummoxed, hoodwinked. We've had the wool pulled over our eyes. Because if not, then I'll be making another video. So, have fun. Paint your models. Do a really good job painting them. Practice. And figure out what it is you do. You know, your workflows. What works for you. But don't be afraid to try it in different ways. Listen to criticism. Listen to suggestions and tips from other painters. Especially painters who've got the credentials to back up what they're saying. You know, if someone like the Feral Painter is giving you a tip, he's quite clearly got the skills to pay the bills. You know, don't listen to some random guy at your local game shop who's running around with an army of grey plastic, who doesn't paint his models completely, has spray painted a rhino blood red, and that's about as far as he's got with painting his army. That guy may not have anything of value to add, but the people who have been in this hobby a long time, who are quite clearly really good painters, listen to them, because you may learn things that you just weren't getting. You know, maybe you are thinning your paints too much. Maybe you're not thinning your paints enough. Maybe you're rattle canning when you undercoat wrong. That's something I struggled with. I really wasn't very good at rattle canning, so I used to get a real horrible grainy finish on a lot of my models, which is why when I got an airbrush, it was such a radical change, because priming became really easy for me. But don't be afraid to try and fail. There is a saying which is, a man who has never done something wrong has never done anything in his life. Models are cheap. Ish. I get they're expensive. What I mean is, experience is worth more than the cost of the models. Paint the models, and if you do badly, listen to the feedback, use the learning experience, buy some isopropyl and strip those bastards down again, and repaint them. Plastic models can be stripped. Metal models can be stripped almost infinitely. Resin models can be stripped. You just have to learn how to do it. And then repaint them. Don't be afraid. Make mistakes. That's it. If a man who's never made a mistake has never made anything in his life, that's the fucking quote. Alright. My name is Bando. This is Brexit Bando. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go back to painting some Emperor's Children. If you guys have anything you want to say in the comments, please do. If you want to, if you want to tag me in videos and stuff, do it. I don't mind. Let me know what you guys are watching and if you think I should have a look at these videos. Do you have a favourite painting tutorial? Is there someone you like watching? Eons of Battle, Goober Town, Sam Lanes, he's one of my favourites. Ninjon. If you guys are looking to buy models, remember you can always go to Element Games, 15 to 25% off your models. They don't only stock Games Workshop stuff in there as well. They've got all sorts of weird and wonderful goodies. Maybe try out Fallout Wasteland or Star Wars Legions. And use code JAM737 to double your reward points, because you can end up getting stuff for free. Builds up. Next thing you know, you got enough to get a new paint set. Or go crazy. Keep saving until you've got enough to buy a 3D printer. Thank you for watching. As always, I really appreciate every one of you. Don't forget, if you are interested in that, I'm going to butcher his name, Ed Eskowski? The last video's model, the Solar Auxilia guy, he goes up for sale tomorrow for 2 weeks. So if you want to get your hands on that, do not forget to go and check out his website. Details are in the last video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And remember, if you're in the UK, it's Father's Day this weekend. Go do something special with your old man. Peace out, homies. Bye-bye.